I'm meteorologist Scott Kaplan on the Legends, 1450 AM and 106.1 FM, WNBP.
Currently in Newburyport, we have a temperature of 57 degrees at 8:17. Next high tide right around 1:45 this afternoon. That's our latest look at the news. I'm Damon on the Legends, WNBP. Now we want to make sure that we have all our materials here because we want to start to put together model ships, and not just any model ships worthy of the Merrimack Valley Model Shipbuilding Club. And we have a couple of folks with us this morning, Alan Bodnar and Keith Manville. And good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning, Lynn.
Nice to have you here. Now, we have you here, well, I guess it's turning into be an annual event now. Dick Boucher puts it all together, and you guys are going to be involved with Yankee Homecoming. And Alan, why don't you tell us a little bit about the exhibit that's going to be taking place? That'll be over at the Unitarian Church.
That's right, on Pleasant Street. And it's going to be from Saturday the 29th through Saturday, August 5th, from 10 to 5. So that'll run the whole week of Homecoming Week, and it's free admission. And I think people who come will be pleased by our collection of about 65 to 70 model ships.
65 to 70. There is a lot of shipbuilding that goes on there, and Keith, one of the nice things about that is it's in air-conditioned comfort.
Oh, it's lovely. It is lovely.
So, what ships are you going to have in there?
I'm going to have one this year when the brig Newsboy, which was involved in the triangle trade from the United States, Boston or New York, over to Europe, down to the West Indies, and back up.
Oh, okay. I never heard that called triangle trade.
Oh.
But that's what it was. So
that's what it was,
they just had their own route. Okay. And why did you end up doing that, building that ship?
Just interest in that type of thing. It was a local shipbuilder built it. And, I'm interested in American history anyway, and that was a large part of American history, so I just put that together. And the real overriding reason was my wife liked it.
Oh, well, that counts. You have to do that. How about you, Alan? What ships do you have in there?
I'll have two. I'm bringing back a life-saving skiff of the kind that you see on the Jersey Shore that I had in last year. And I have a new one, which is a day sailor, a small sailboat. Was built for the Little Compton Sailing Club in Rhode Island. And that's my new one. And I'm happy to say that my wife had a role in it because I was putting together the sails according to the instructions in the kit. And she said, I can make them better. We can sew them. And so she did a nice seam around the sail and made it look more realistic. So
wow. Well, that's
happy to share that with her.
Now, how long did it take for you to put that ship together?
It's a small one. I think if I were doing it more often, I would have done it more quickly. I didn't keep track of the hours. I did it leisurely over many months. Mm-hmm. There were, every part of it had to be fabricated. There were no, as with all of these model ships, no pre-made parts.
Oh.
That's one of the things that makes it very satisfying and challenging.
So these model ships that you build, although you mentioned kits, but they aren't the kits like you used to have when you were a kid growing up with the model cars and things like that.
No. You, as Alan said, if depending upon the type of kit you get, you might get a solid hull, or you might get one with bulkheads where you have to plank it, and then everything else you kind of make as you go up.
Plank it?
Plank it, yeah.
So that's
take an individual plank and bend it around the bulkheads and attach it.
Oh my gosh!
Your kit is a box of wood.
That's it, huh?
Well, I'm exaggerating a little bit. There are instructions and fittings, but it's a lot different than the old plastic models.
Oh my gosh, that is just a lot of work, but it's something that you enjoy.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
a lot of fun. Yeah.
Now with the Merrimack Valley Model Shipbuilders Club. Is
Yes.
that the correct name?
Yeah.
Do you get together once a month, once a week?
We meet once a month in the church, the second Saturday of the month. Meeting, excuse me, the meeting starts at 8 in the morning and usually runs to 10 or 10:15. And
Okay.
everybody's welcome to come and see what we do.
Church meaning the Unitarian Church?
Yes, right.
Oh, okay, so that's why you're there then. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Wow. Now, I remember previous years looking at the ships, and there's rigging and ladders and things like that. Do you make that stuff too?
We don't, well, most of us don't turn our own rope. Some of the guys in the club do. They
Yeah.
actually make their own rope. But yeah, we rig it all. We do all the little ladders and all that kind of stuff. Everything you see is pretty much made by hand on the model.
Wow. You don't have to make the ladder yourself. You can buy the ladder somewhere?
You can, yep.
Some
Yeah, you
people
can.
do make it though.
Well, okay. Well, that answers that. So some people like to do everything themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, are there out of the you said 65 ships that are going to be on display? Which are the ones that you didn't make that really impress you?
Oh my gosh. One of our modelers is making a model of an Admiralty model, so there is no rigging on it, of the HMS Bellerophon, which is the ship that Napoleon surrendered on. And he's doing that completely from scratch. Made the frames himself. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous thing. And he made it without plans for the Bellerophon. He had to find a similar ship and adjust the plans so it would be what the Bellerophon looked like.
Holy
And it's really magnificent.
Wow. How about for you, Alan?
Well, I'm really impressed by a model that one of our members is making of a boat that was used by the Irish monks in 800 AD to sail from Ireland to Scotland to evangelize the Scots. And he not only made the boat to exact specifications, and it's very hard getting plans for something from 800 AD, but he somehow did. And it's covered in leather, and he made figures in the boat, one representing St. Columkill, letting a dove go free to find dry land, and the other representing a monk in the back of the boat looking rather bored with it all. But it's a magnificent model.
Wow.
And he specializes in modeling historic and unusual voyages.
Has anybody ever made a model of Noah's Ark?
Hey, there's an idea.
Because the instructions are in the book.
Exactly.
Just have to knock it down to scale.
How many cubits?
What do we do with all the animals? That's the other question.
Oh, that's right, too. Now, when you make people, what do you make people out of?
I gave up making people because they either looked way too small or way too large. But the fellow I was talking about who did the Bellerophon, he makes people, and he starts by making little wire stick figures and then putting
Sculpted clay?
sculpting clay on it and then whittling it down to size and then painting it. And they're like less than a half of an inch tall, depending upon the scale of the model.
How about that? Now, is this making model ships and people, is this expensive?
Depends upon how you look at it. If you were to walk into a hobby shop and say, I want to build the USS Constitution, do you have a kit? Yeah, you might have a little sticker shock. But then when you realize it's going to take you 3 or 4 years to build the USS Constitution and you spread it out that way, then it's reasonable.
Okay. Now, do you ever sell these things?
Some people do.
Yeah.
I personally don't. I make them for my own pleasure and enjoyment and for ourselves and our family and friends. But some people actually sell them on their own websites or as consignments. And Bill Partridge's shop, Peel's Craftsman.
That's right.
And other places like that.
That's on not Fair Street.
Center Street.
Okay. Yeah, I went in there one time. What an amazing place.
Oh, isn't it great?
Yeah, certainly is. Now, what do you have lined up for your next project?
Well, I'm actually doing a model of the Nantucket lightship.
Oh.
Which is truly 2 steps forward, 1 3/4 steps back right now. My son has never showed any interest in my modeling at all. A couple of years ago said, if you could make me a model, I'd love it. So we spent some time doing some research, and he had spent 3 years working on Nantucket and said he wanted to model the lightship. So kind of wandering my way through that.
Is that the one that was in Newburyport a couple of years back? There was a lightship that Ed Mullen would bring in from time to time.
Maybe. There are 6 or 7 Nantucket lightships. One of them is tied up in East Boston.
Okay.
So it may have been up here. I'm not sure, though.
Huh. Now, what about you, Alan?
Well, I'm thinking of going back to a tugboat that I started a few years ago. I have a lot of models that I started, and then I ran into a roadblock, and I put them aside and started something else. So now I'm going back and catching up. So I might get back to the tugboat.
Now, do you like to make larger models, or do you like to make the little miniature models? They're all models, but I remember looking at the exhibit. There were some pretty big boats down there.
Yeah.
I have one that's 4 feet long.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun to make, and I really enjoyed it. And I have no idea what to do with it. It sits upstairs in my daughter's bedroom, and she's long gone, but every time I ask my wife about moving it, it's just, leave it right where it is, stay there. Because I also have a case for it, but the case just adds height and width. And so before I retired, when I was working and I had a big office, I was in the office, it was covered up, it was great. And then when I brought her home, it's just, we found a safe spot for it, and it's anchored there, and that's the end. So it was fun to build, though. It really was. Yeah. But I think the little ones are easier to handle, I think, once you're working on it and you get finished with it.
Uh-huh. Now, do these things actually float?
The ones you're going to see if you come to the show, a vast majority of them, the answer is no. But there are some that are made. I think one of the modelers is bringing a pond boat that he got from his father. That'll float. There'll be a couple of other radio control boats in there that'll float. But most of the models are static.
How about that? Well, it's going to be a fantastic show. That's going to be at the Unitarian Church on Pleasant Street. The entrance is actually on Unicorn Street, one of the shortest streets in Newburyport, and is downstairs in the basement.
Right.
Very nice. So that's opening up on this Saturday, and it runs to next Saturday, right?
That's right.
During Yankee homecoming, the Merrimack Valley Shipbuilders Club, Model Shipbuilders Club. All right. Well, Alan and Keith, thank you for joining us. And
thank you.
Looking forward to seeing all your work again. And it's going to be fantastic. It's free, open to the public, and everybody's going to love it. So thank you.
If I may, there will be modelers there to answer your questions, and there probably, at given times, will be demonstrations of model building.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. As people they enjoy seeing all the little intricate work that goes in there.
And we're helping to support the steeple fund of the church. So there will be a raffle of a beautiful model of the Scottish maid that one of our members made and has donated, so that when people come in, if they donate to the steeple fund, they'll get a raffle ticket.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again. And we'll make sure that we stop in there as part of Yankee Homecoming coming up this Saturday. All right. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Keith. Here on The Legends, WNBP, we'll take a look at the news that's coming up.
Time now for some travel trends and tips on WNBP with travel expert Rudy Maxa. It's Rudy Maxa's World.